Now we will clarify first delay analysis and concurrent delay. So we talk concurrent delay also very loosely, but I will show you with two simple examples of MS Project Excel sheets as to how concurrent delay can be confusing. And you may have events happening at different points of time, which may lead to concurrent delay later on. So an event may happen 6 weeks before, and the concurrent delay may happen after 3 months because of that event that happened 6 weeks before. So we'll see all that. That is what delay analysis experts generally do. So first, let's understand how is delay analysis done in a very simple terms, right? There are two methods of delay analysis. You can either do delay analysis after the event is over, or you can do it when the event has just started and you are generally have a reasonable amount of idea as to how much impact or delay that event is going to cause. So if you read FIDIC clauses, it says give a notice when the contractor becomes aware or should have become aware of the event causing delay. So obviously that means he has to do a prospective delay analysis. Now, prospective delay analysis may not be accurate. It may be a little bit go beyond, and therefore the employer may also be conservative of giving you EOT on that. In India, generally, we give EOT after the event is over. That has its drawbacks. If the event is taking 3 months, then you are giving an EOT after 3 months. What happens in the 3 months? So that becomes a problem. Right. So first take retrospective. That means event खत्म हो गया, COVID खत्म हो गया. अब मैं EOT दे रहा हूँ after the COVID is over. In between, you had a lot of floods and you had a lot of landslides in hilly regions like Shimla. And बहुत इंडिया में भी floods हुआ था कुछ महीने पहले. So many employers waited for the flood to be over. Flood के बाद उसके impact भी आए, कुछ कोई bridge टूट गया, कुछ और हो गया. Then they waited for that impact to be over. And then after 4 months gave an EOT of 4 months. Right? That's retrospective. So retrospective EOT, most simple method is as planned versus as built. Now, this you need not wait for the completion period to be over. You can do it from milestone to milestone and so on. So you are basically the baseline for any EOT is your baseline schedule that you have made. Now, once that milestone is over, you know exactly how the events unfolded. So you put the delays in that. And you should do different color coding of delays, employer cost delay, contractor cost delay, and neutral delay, force majeure, etc. And that will automatically give you what is concurrent, which we'll see in an Excel sheet later on, maybe today only. So very simple. Once you know the actual completion date, you put the delays and you get that, okay, this much delay is because of the employer and therefore I'm entitled to this much EOT as planned versus as built. Second way to do it, and obviously the delay has to be on critical path. And just remember that when you put these delays, we will see again with a small example, the critical path may change. So in a project, the critical path may change 20 times. Very common for in a complicated project for the critical path to keep changing. And if you have not made a realistic schedule, the contractor is only going to suffer because then it is left to the employers and the PMC's whims and fancies as to how he interprets the delay. Okay, this is a good method. Recently, there was a famous case of Panther versus MMDC or something, a multi-billion dollar contract in Dubai, in which Mason, which is an Indian firm of Rohit Singhal, did a delay analysis of as planned versus as built. Right, so you have a as planned. Second methodology is as planned but for. This is often used both by employers and contractors separately. That look, but for if I remove this would have been the delay. I did not, so employer often argue, I did not give you part possession in site. Okay, I removed this, but your mobilization was still not taking place. The contractor does exactly opposite. So as planned versus built for, also often parties used to show as to what would have happened if this delay had not happened. So there may be three contingency in as planned versus built for, right? So let's take, supposing your contractual completion date is 31st October. I, as a contractor, want to prove uh, the actual contract gets completed on 31st December, 2 months delay. I, as a contractor, want to prove that I deserve an EOT. It was not my fault. So what I do is I take owner cause delay, for example, a delay in giving approval of my drawings or a delay in giving some decision. And in my schedule, in my program or schedule, I show this owner cause delay that had this delay in approval of drawing not occurred, I would have completed this. I remove this delay, and instead of 31st December, the schedule compresses to 15th October. The completion date is 31st October. And I prove basically that, look, you are responsible for this entire delay, so I deserve an EOT. Otherwise, I could have completed it on 15th October, but because of your delay, I completed on 31st December. So therefore, I need an EOT. Actually, 2 months and 15 days, but since 15 days is my cushion, so therefore, only 2 months of EOT you have to give it. Now, let us suppose the second contingency that happens is that I remove the owner cause delay, approval of drawings, and the project, my schedule collapses to exactly 31st October. Even then, I'll say, look, you caused this delay, so I deserve a EOT, no LD. Now, let's take a third contingency. The employer has delayed approval of my drawings by 2.5 months. But when I put this delayed approval in my schedule and remove it, the schedule does not collapse to less than 31st October. It comes only up to 15th November. Now, what does this mean? Employer ने 2.5 महीने का delay किया है, but when the PMC puts it on the schedule ki removing this 2.5 महीने delay of the employer of anything, the schedule collapses in Primavera and MS project only up to 15th November. Contractual completion date is 31st October. So what can it mean? What do I infer from this? What does the PMC or what does the contractor or the employer infer from this? What are the options? Why is this happening? The employer cost delay is 2.5 months, but the schedule, when I put those 2.5 months, is collapsing only by 1.5 months or 1 month. So what do you infer from this? Anybody?
There could be a lot of parallel activities which could have been done.
Okay.
I mean to say that the employer's responsibility or the roles does not pay too much of primary role or a critical path roles.
Good point. Any other inference? Good point. Very good. Excellent. Right. So this may mean two contingencies. One is, as you rightly pointed out, that the employer's delay was not on critical path or only on partly on the critical path. Second, it may also mean concurrency, that while the employer has caused delay, the contractor has also caused simultaneous delay. So both the things may happen in such a case. Okay. So this is another retrospective effect. Now we come to prospective. This is what world practice say. There is something called Society of Construction Law Delay and Disruption Analysis, which you can download free of cost if you type it. Society of Construction Law UK. And that gives you the best practices of the world, not generally followed in India. So prospective analysis is what they say you should have, because prospective analysis gives you a target EOT and the contractor always has a completion date. So the contractor should never be working in a blank. Okay, let's suppose my completion date has passed. और कोविड शुरू हो जाता है. I don't know whether COVID impact is going to last 3 months or 6 months. Now, COVID impact lasts for 4 months. Now, in those 4 months, I haven't given any EOT to the contractor. So, therefore, the contractor is working without any completion date. Absolutely. He has no target because पता ही नहीं उसको कितना EOT मिलेगा. So, therefore, how does he know how much resources to put when he does not even have a completion target? So, that is why if I am a right person, I would do a prospective analysis and say that look, COVID impact, whatever I can foresee, is likely to be 1 month or 2 months. So I will give you a minimum EOT of 1 month because एक महीना तो impact last करेगा ही. And then decide after 1 month whether you need more. In COVID phase, wave 1, probably it was very difficult. But wave 2, you could have easily said, okay, wave 1 impact lasted for 3 months. So wave 2, let me give you an EOT for 2 months. So prospective EOT is always preferred because that gives a completion date target to the contractor. So you can give a minimum EOT based on prospective delay analysis, and later on when the event is over, you can do a as planned but for or as planned versus as built and extend that EOT as required. Again, the principle of extending EOT. You cannot reduce the prospective EOT. Just remember that. So always give a minimum EOT as a prospective EOT. The aim is now a contractor always has a target completion date. He's never left hanging free. And the advantage of that is that having even a tentative target completion date, the contractor can mobilize his resources and use his resources based on that completion date. If he does not know कि कोविड का मुझे 6 महीने ईओटी मिलेगा, 4 महीने मिलेगा और कुछ मिला ही नहीं है prospective EOT, then he would use his resources as per his judgment. So this is called prospective, impacted as planned. Very simple, that an event has occurred. You put it on the baseline and give that much EOT as you anticipate the impact. Now, later on, the actual impact of that EOT may be more or maybe less. So you cannot reduce it, but you can increase the EOT always. Prospective methodology. The second prospective methodology is similar, which is called time impact analysis. So in time impact analysis, you basically break a project into windows. Windows may be every month, every quarter, milestone to milestone. Again, same methodology. You put that event there, you anticipate the impact of that event. So how anticipation should be done is generally, a contractor should submit a MS project or a Primavera schedule to the employer showing the anticipated impact. Thereafter, the PMC employer and the contractor should sit down together and arrive at a consensus as to what is the likely minimum anticipated impact. In case they can't arrive at a consensus, the decision is left on the PMC and the employer. Okay, so this is anticipated. You break into windows, that becomes easier. Because if you try and do it for the whole project as a whole, then it becomes a problem. So you break it into windows. So every time you ask for an extension of time, give this delay analysis, that is the event fed into your Primavera schedule. And the employer should also insist on it. He should say that I will not give you an EOT till such time you give me a revised schedule with the delay impact incorporated in that schedule. An employer must always ask for it. Now, these are the simple step methods. I will show you also what an employer should write in a contractual clause to insist on this. Now, let's take a very simple way to explain how critical path changes when you keep giving EOT or when delay occurs. Let us suppose there are two buildings a contractor has to make, and both the buildings he decides he will make together have independent resources for both the buildings. So he has decided that he'll start on March 16, finish both the buildings on 9th of May 2016. 9 weeks, he will finish both the houses, villas, buildings, whatever. Now, in the first week, there is a delay because the architect instructs certain variation. He instructs this variation only in the first block A. So what happens is block A has a delay of 1 week, but the contractual completion date is both the blocks, both the buildings. So therefore, now building B automatically gets a float of 1 week, and building A becomes the critical path. Now the contractor cannot afford any delay on building A, but he has a cushion on building B. Even if he delays building B by 1 week, doesn't matter. Now let's suppose everything proceeds. After that, there is a delay of 1 week in building B, which is because of the contractor. His labor does not come in time. Now, all that has happened is that the contractor has used his float in building B, which has been created because of the employer variation, employer ordered variation. No delay again. Absolutely no delay. Now, what happens? Architect again gives a variation, but this time he gives a variation on building B, variation order. Now, building B becomes the critical path, and you automatically get a float on building A. The contractor gets a float on building A. So this way, in a very simple method, the critical path will keep changing and the contractor will keep getting floats on activity which were not anticipated in the original schedule. And this keeps happening every time you put a delay activity. And that is why when you put a delay activity in the delay analysis, they cannot be put together in one go. They have to be put sequentially. The first delay has to be put first in your MS project schedule or Primavera schedule. Then that will have an impact on the entire path, and the critical path may also change, which will be shown in your schedule. Then you put the next delay, then you put the next delay. And that is why it is such a cumbersome process. So if you have missed out updating your schedule for, let's say, for 1 year, and in that 1 year, there have been 10 delays because of variations, because of many reasons. Then after 1 year, you decide to update your schedule. You cannot put those 10 delays in one go. So first delay occurred in March, you have to put that. The schedule gets updated. Second delay occurred in May, you have to put that. Third delay occurred in June, you have to put that. So it becomes a very, very cumbersome process. And that is why a schedule must always be updated at least once a quarter. And every time there is a hindrance and an EOT is asked for. The employer should also insist, the contractor should also do that. It is for his own benefit.